It's a story about a family man played by Ben Foster. He plays Josh, who becomes obsessed with saving the lives of the car accident victims at the sharp corner in front of his and Rachel's house. Rachel played by Colbie. Well, I was looking for something to adapt after my previous feature, Blackbird, and I came across Russell's collection of short stories that were shortlisted for the Giller Prize in the bookstore, and I stood there and I read 3 stories in one spot, and I knew that his sensibility spoke to me. And I optioned 4 of them, and Sharp Corner was one of them. And what I liked about his work is it was about ordinary people without really understanding perhaps why they may not be happy in their lives. People who perhaps didn't live examined lives. And his stuff reminded me of the work of John Cheever and more recently Tom Perrotta. And I'm fans of theirs. But Russell has his own signature, and so I optioned his story and started to explore. We talked a lot about what Josh's headspace at that juncture in his life, and the first accident happens, reawakens him to parts of him that he didn't realize were existed or had laid dormant for many, many years. And it wasn't until the second accident that really activated him, and he decided he wanted to do something about it. He wanted to insert himself and save a life. And so that was that became an obsession, and he started to go down a dark path in pursuit of that obsession.
We meet Josh and Rachel in almost a postcard moment of one version of societal ideal. You have your wife and your new house and your kid, and everything's just hunky-dory. And then an event takes place where there's a car accident the first night they move in, and there's a fatality. And this, at least to my point of view, with so many of us sleepwalk through our life. And if we haven't considered mortality in a real way, and at least for me, Josh has been living a disconnected life. He's got the markers, he's checked the boxes, hates his job, but it's just kind of floating, and somehow he's activated in this moment, and through this traumatic event, rather than becoming introspective, he becomes obsessed, and it becomes a bit of a rabbit hole for him, and the cost of that, the receipt of that, is the disintegration of his family, his social life, in the quest to become a savior.
Rachel, at the beginning of this film, is sort of excited about this new beginning for this family, a new home, quieter pace outside of the city. And when this accident happens, her instinct is to protect her child, and she doesn't see that same reaction in her partner. And so they approach these happenings in different ways. And I think that the frustration in terms of her being a therapist is she knows that her partner needs to evaluate himself and talk about what he's feeling, and he's not going deep enough and trying to understand what it's doing to him psychologically. And so that frustration builds and builds throughout the film.
Ben had mentioned in an interview that Josh is kind of neutered. And I think that's something that he's done to himself by feeling compelled to be somebody that perhaps he's not. And again, to speak to the unexamined life, if you don't have a relationship with some of the more uncomfortable qualities that might be swirling about inside you, they can come out in more dangerous ways. And that moment in particular, to me, is a chance for the audience to see under the hood, because he doesn't talk about his relationship to these accidents until that moment. So it's a chance to sort of see okay, this person's building some hubris towards this relationship with the car accidents, and he's starting to take on perhaps a god complex because this is his domain.
I think Jason's script is a very uncomfortable and raw exploration of that hum of the mundane, that creeping anxiety that maybe touches us at some point, putting on a smile even though we feel that hole. And that I don't think that's a singular experience, being a human being and on Earth, finding purpose. I don't think an unusual subject, someone finding purpose, but the exploration of somebody finding purpose through the lens of a lack of self-reflection, or getting what you might call a false call to arms, does investigate a certain kind of narcissism and fear and counter to a lack of control he feels in his own life. So I do think that's unique, and I'm excited about to share with this film.